I have dedicated my professional career to the study and control of arthropods.
Okay, this is part three. I might be the last. I'm not sure. This is the second take of this, and I actually had more to say than I thought. I'm going to try to trim it down a little bit. I wanted the reason I want to bring this up or talk about this is it is a really important issue to me, and it's one that I don't I don't know that I don't feel like I talk about it enough. You know, like I feel I don't know how do you put it. And I don't want to sound pretentious or anything like that, but I feel like uh, I've been lucky my life. You know, I've had lucky in my upbringing, lucky in a lot of aspects of my opportunities in life that were presented to me, that brought me, and the people in my life that brought me to where I'm at. Um, and it makes me feel like I guess it's a racial obligation, if that makes that's not really quite accurate. I feel like payback for the gifts that I've been given in my life, um, that I need to do what I can to help. I feel something for um, what Buffy St. Marie calls these ones, the first peoples. Um, and it makes, I want to do, that's why when I was a college professor, I sat on a committee that working on getting Native Americans into STEM courses. I don't know, you may not be aware of this, but um, based on percentages, the absolute bottom of all the minority groups in this country in terms of having representatives in math or science related field, math, engineering, science. What is it? Anyway, science, math courses. Are Native Americans. They are I don't even, it's been so long I don't remember the actual numbers. But there's been a lot of work with getting minorities in this nation into those fields, into college in general, but also into these fields, and it's been relatively successful compared to just a few years ago. The number of Black Americans that are it's steadily increasing, and that's a wonderful thing. But we haven't seen it at all in Native Americans. That the efforts have been unsuccessful, and there's a lot of reasons why. There's a lot of complex reasons why. Anyway, so I was on a committee that worked with trying to encourage like things starting in school in high school or junior high even, and working on it. That's why I work with these summer camps, things like that, because it's something that desperately needs to be done. But anyway, that's so for me. That's that's the least I can do. Standing up for these issues whenever I can, lending my vote to issues whenever I can, donating money whenever I can, to various causes that I think are help better Native people. And it's like I said, it's the least I can do, and I know it's not enough, and I feel guilty about not being able to do more, and I hope someday to be in a position where I can do more. But anyway, I'm sorry I'm rambling on. But one of the reasons I want to talk this is so important is that I think it's something that most people aren't really aware of in this country. I think, I believe in most people being good, decent people, and I don't think most people recognize that this prejudice against Native people is still out there. And I'm going to say this might be a gross oversimplification, so forgive me if it is, and I don't mean any offense by it. But for example, I was thinking about it, like 40 years ago, 35, 40 years ago, you could be a blatant, say you were anti-black. You could be outspoken, always having the N-word coming out of your mouth and always telling black jokes, and it really wouldn't have hurt you in society too much if you're an average Joe. I mean, you could have being, all of us grew up knowing somebody like that, our old Uncle Fred or whatever, and it was just sort of who they were. And times have changed in our culture where that's no longer acceptable. That person is harmed if you have that attitude. I mean, and I know there's still bigots out there. I know very well there's bigots out there. But they've changed. They keep it under their hat for the most part. It's out there, and that's a good thing. That's been a positive change in our society. In that we've become a whole lot less tolerant of bigotry, but there still is a different kind of bigotry against Native people, and it's switched. And I don't think that even people that are perpetuating it, because I have so many people tell me that they're not prejudiced against Natives, and then they make some statement that's just like, wow, you are prejudiced against Natives. And I'm like, a couple of the things, we have these myths in our culture, not ours as an American culture, maybe Canadian too, I don't know, where, for example, the one myth that I heard when I was as a professor, I heard was that it's like, what was it? Well, you do know that Indians lack the ability to metabolize alcohol properly. That's why they can't drink. Which you've probably heard that. The fact is it's completely false. It's got no medical backing whatsoever. It's all actually based on a study done. I think it was in Eastern Canada on a closely related family of Iroquois. Anyway, but the point is that study done on that reflected really a single family was extrapolated to be all people of Native descent. And I don't. The reason I talk about it being a different kind of prejudice, because it's like people talk about it as a harmless prejudice. How to put it? It's what it does is it gives you, as a dominant culture, as a representative of dominant culture, the right to step in and tell somebody what they can or cannot do, because better than they do. They have this flawed genetics, and so therefore you're only doing so. When they do these things like creating dry reservations and things like that. And I know alcoholism is a huge problem. I'm not saying that that's not a problem. What I'm saying is that alcoholism is a problem with any impoverished or powerless people in the world. People who've had, whether it be white, black, Native American, Hispanic, when people have lost their identity and lost who they are, alcoholism, drug abuse, sexual abuse, domestic abuse, all of these things come with the territory, and they have nothing to do with somebody's genes. They have everything to do with the image, the cultural image that they have. And when I say nothing about genes, I know that there's familial relationships with alcoholism and drug abuse. I'm not disagreeing with that. I'm talking about as a people. Anyway, so like they use that. So when I was as a professor, we were trying to figure out, they were actually going to pass rules so that they would put Native kids in a particular dorm by them, like isolated, a segregated wing, so that they could be watched, because once they get alcohol around them, they can't help themselves. That was the argument that was being presented, which I found really offensive. Believe me, as a college student myself, I've seen. I don't think that there's a minority group or race of people on this planet that I haven't seen at their absolute worst in college dorms. So to say the Natives or any, whatever, it was ridiculous. But the guy actually said, and I'm not going to name any names, but he actually said that these kids from the village, they come here and they act like they're all sophisticated. This is almost a direct quote. It's a paraphrase. He said, but it's just the way they're raised. They never progress beyond 13 or 14-year-old maturity level, ever, their whole lives. He said, that's just the way they are. And it's like, my wife was there even, and it was just like, we were like, excuse me? And he says, well, it's just, they can't help it. They've been, that, whatever, they don't need more than that to survive in their villages, so they just never grow past that point. And it's just like this face palm. It's like, and you're in charge, you are the person who's been given power to tell the school how to treat its Native students. You are a bigot, ignorant, and he was all about, oh no, I love Native people. It's like, yeah, you love them in that old grandfather white man patronizing crap, old Indian boarding schools way. That's not caring about a people. Anyway, see, I'm gonna get started on this, so now I have to make another video. How about that? Sorry, I apologize for those of you. You can always skip these if you're not interested in the subject. So, bye.